All right, guys, welcome back to the show. And our guest is Bisi Akintayo. She's the CEO of GT Suites. It's a leading global real estate company with operations in Nigeria, Dubai, and the US. And she's known as a trailblazer in e-commerce and real estate.
Impressive. She began her career as a stay-home mom and now empowers others through mentorship, training, and advocacy for women's property ownership. It's pretty important, and she has numerous awards. Also the co-founder of the Stephen Akintayo Foundation, dedicated to transforming lives and through charity and education.
All right, interesting, very interesting. We're talking about real estate and how we can transform Nigeria's real estate sector. So what do you think are the key challenges facing Nigeria's real estate, and how do they impact societal growth?
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your show this morning. So we do have quite a couple of challenges facing the Nigerian real estate sector. We're just going to be picking a couple of them, maybe about 2 or 3 because of our time. So the first one, which I will talk about, is the hike in prices of building materials, for instance. So we have, and this is of course due to the inflation that we all have going on in the country. So this is one of the major challenges currently that is being faced in the real estate sector here in Nigeria today. And this actually affects the prices of how much you have to put in the property for people who has to buy it. For instance, if I as a developer I put a property as an off-plan sale, and I am putting it at 50 million naira, and in the next couple of months, due to the hike in price, I discovered that 50 million naira can no longer finish the building of the property for the clients. That poses a major challenge, a major problem. Then we also have the issues of bad road network, of course, which sometimes could pose a challenge as well to building some of to builders, developers, because when you have bad roads, the car or the lorry or whichever one coming with the building materials breaks down, then sometimes they might be prone to theft and a couple of others, which would also might affect as well. Then we also have this the bureaucracies of long chain of government having to approve building plans, and which takes maybe forever. And of course, when I already planned that I'm going to finish a project in the year 2025, and the building permit is taking like forever, and I don't have a building permit, and the people who are expecting me to deliver on my promise, I have not even started building just because my building permit is not out. So these are a few challenges which is actually affecting the developers, the real estate sectors at the moment. Like I said, there are numerous challenges, just to mention just a few of them.
So how would you suggest that if we at least successfully highlighted these challenges, how would you suggest that we can effectively create an enabling environment for real estate investments and development in Nigeria? Okay,
so I'm going to actually pick some points from the UAE market, for instance, that could actually help us to resolve some of these challenges that we face in our own real estate sector in Nigeria today. So some of them is, number one, is looking at the fact that the government has to find a way to work with the public-private sectors to be able to ensure that, number one, the roads, of course, are good enough for them to bring in their materials. Number two, I don't have power over it. A lot of us don't have power over it. But if at least the inflation we are facing at this moment will not be as high, and there's the prediction that by Christmas is going to be about 2,000 naira. By next year, maybe about 2,500. I don't know how true that is, but we don't pray for that. But if it can actually even go below what we have right now, at least that could actually pose a good chances for people who are developing properties here in Nigeria to be able to meet up with what they have promised their clients. I've been traveling to the UAE for the past 7 years. I've never seen their currency actually affected by inflation. I've never had inflation in the country. It's always been 3.6 dirhams to $1 since I've been traveling there. So they are not affected by those challenges. Then also the fact that we do not have long payment spread for our properties, and this also is because of the high interest rates, which I didn't mention earlier, which also is a challenge that is being faced by
Okay,
the
well,
property sector.
let's talk about how UAE supports African entrepreneurs and how can we replicate that locally here in Nigeria.
Yes, the UAE has been supporting African. Generally, if you go to the UAE, for instance, or if you check them out online, you will discover a lot of programs, economic forum for Africans that they've actually been able to bring together, put together for Africans to come into the market and talk about what they do, how UAE can also support in terms of financing as well, to ensure that Africans get access to some funding. Africans also get access to some private companies, organizations in the UAE who can support their vision, who can also partner with them. So the UAE has really been promoting and supporting a lot of Africans in the UAE. And I, of course, I'm an African in the UAE. And I would say that the UAE, of course, is one of the people who has supported and built an enabling environment as well for us to be able to thrive and do business in the country.
So how would you what would you tell Nigerians? So what can Nigeria learn from all of this, from the African success in UAE's real estate space?
Okay, there's quite a number of things they can learn, of course, from the success of Africa, from UAE. Looking at how UAE started, just a bare land, just sand and nothing. The only thing they had was a vision. So they had a vision that they want to make UAE a better place. They want to make UAE the global place where everyone will be talking about and coming into in the country. So because of the vision they had, they were able to sell this vision to people. Now they have a vision for the next 10 years to even have UAE quadruple the current size in economic growth that they have at the moment. So the first thing I would say that we can emulate is have a vision for our country. So what is the vision we have for Nigeria, for instance? And how can we ensure that we drive people? Because we have more resources than they have. We have a whole lot that we can actually leverage on. They have been able to leverage on their tourism. The tourism is thriving and they've been able to build on that. We have a lot of amazing things that we can build on here in Nigeria. We have our Olumorok. I don't know how many people still talks about Lumarok today. So we have a lot of amazing things that we can build around tourism here in Nigeria that can make expatriate, that can make people want to come into this country and want to come and, of course, partner with us and achieve more success for the country.
Let's talk about how real estate can address the problems of unemployment in Nigeria and housing, because that's really one big key issue, a huge gap in the real estate space in Nigeria.
Yes. Real estate sector can address the issue of housing if the government, I'm going to say if the government again, can actually help and work with a financial institution, can help to work with the financial institution to bring our mortgages to, if possible, zero interest. Now, in Dubai, for instance, you can have access to mortgages. You pay for property for the next 10 years, for the next 5 years, for the next 3 years, 4 years without zero interest rate.
The government of Dubai has subsidized. There's so much money coming, so they don't have to stress over you.
But we can also get to that level. We can get to that stage whereby the common man, the average man who actually earns minimum wage can own a property because he also has a long-term interest rate or payment plan with zero interest. So if I know I'm not paying any interest on the property I'm acquiring, what is that going to do for my citizen? What it's going to do is that it's going to help to actually create, number one, more jobs for people. It's going to, of course, number two, have more Nigerians have that benefit of owning their own properties and not immediately thinking of Japa. I'm not thinking of I want to relocate, because if the problem of shelter is taken care of for me and my family, I'm not thinking of, oh, maybe I need to leave this country because it's not working. Because a lot of people are living because they can't even pay for where they stay. They don't even have shelter over their roof. Then you cannot talk of food, of course. But if this is being taken care of, I believe that strongly a lot of Nigerians will have access to more housing. And of course, a lot of people will have access to jobs. Why? Because more housing units being created, being built,
more jobs
will lead to more job creation for Nigerians.
All right. I think that you said so much.
True.
But let's talk about making the society a bit better by empowering Nigerians in the first place. How do you think that mentorship and education can empower Nigeria to be better and really succeed in real estate?
So mentorship is key for you to. I believe strongly in mentorship, and I as an individual, am actually where I am today by the power of the mentors I've had around my life, and I believe strongly that wherever you want to get to, somebody has been there before. Wherever this country wants to get to, a lot of countries have been there before. And we see these things when we travel, our leaders see it, we as individuals, we see it as well. So one of the things we can actually do is to look at those who it has worked for, how it has worked for them. Let's have these individuals, these companies, these countries as well. Let them come and tell us, okay, let's bring them in. What did you do? How did you achieve it? It's not something that is not achievable. It is achievable. So if you bring these individuals in and say, you know, I want you to tell us how you were able to achieve these things in your country. I want you to teach us how you can achieve this in your organization. Even as an individual, I'm doing a business, I'm not succeeding. I just need to find somebody who has succeeded and to guide me and to put me through. Some of them, you might not have access to them physically, but some you can get access to them via their books, via their materials, their trainings, their conferences. And we do go for a lot of these conferences, both home and abroad. And we can emulate some of these things and bring it back home to achieve a better place for ourselves and to also have expatriates. Like I say to people that whenever I'm traveling back home, I always see a lot of expatriates coming into Nigeria. Why? Because there's milk and honey in this country. And that's why I can never use my mouth to say bad about this country, because this country has so much. When there is problems,
living in the country, though.
There is solution. I do still live in this country.
But it's just that you have to bring the money into the country from Dubai, because I understand.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So for me, actually, there's a lot of milk and honey in this country. And if we can just open our eyes to see it and not saying evil about the country, as long as people can come in, expatriate, to make money out of this country. So that's to tell me that I, as an individual, then we as a country, we also have to harness the good of this country. And whenever there's a problem, of course, there is money in any problem you find.
Nice. I like how you just said it. But to wrap up the conversation, what steps do you think should be taken to sort of ensure that real estate becomes the main driver in the society, which of course will bring about societal transformation?
Yes. Based on all I've said so far, if you look at the Dubai market, like I said, they have made real estate, apart from tourism, to be one of the major backbone of the country, also in Dubai. So we in Nigeria can also do the same. If we have the good roads, if we have the power supply, which is not posing a problem to the citizen of the country, of course, a lot of investors want to come in and invest. If we have security, anybody wants to invest where there is security, which is actually really tight there. For instance, Dubai is one of the safest countries you can go in the world. You can walk in the middle of the night. I take my kids to the park. We come back 2 a.m., 1 a.m. sometimes, because it's the safest country in the world. But we can also build the same thing also in Nigeria, making Nigeria safe for everyone. That way, investors will want to come in. And also, we don't want to leave the country, because we believe that there is enough security in the country. Our lives, our families, our loved ones, our properties are all protected. So doing that would really, really help.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's just people like you who are doing so much doing well in real estate have to band it together and look for a way to change the real estate sector in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming. Any last words?
Okay, my last one is compliment of the season to you.
Thank you.
Okay, not the Dubai.
Do share the love.
As they are sharing the Dubai money.
Dubai money.
Yes, the dirhams and the land.
And do ensure that you actually give to someone this season. No matter what is happening, we shouldn't say that, oh, we do not have enough. Let's actually just give, no matter how small. Because no matter what you're going through, somebody else is going through worse than we are going through.
Thank you so much for coming through on the show. Guys, that's the first part of the show. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have our next guest in the studio. Don't go anywhere.